at the observatory and sent to different meteorological departments in India and abroad. Functioning for the last 112 years, the Kodaikanal Solar Observatory is not just a historic heritage of the country, it is also contributing in the field of astrophysics.
Welcome to Midday Prime. Over the next 1 hour, we will bring you all the stories and updates from India and the world. We will update you about the happenings in the world of business and sports, and we'll get you some interesting stories that are making headlines. But first up, the big news at this hour. Supreme Court orders a status quo on 10 rebel Karnataka MLAs' resignations. Says Speaker cannot take decision on resignation or disqualification. Next hearing on Tuesday. Karnataka Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy seeks time from Speaker to prove majority as Assembly session gets underway. Says decisions of some of the MLAs have created a difficult situation in state's politics. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman replies to the general discussion on the union budget. Says government is committed to the path of fiscal consolidation without cutting spending. Says several steps are being taken to make India a $5 trillion economy by 2024-25. Railway Minister Piyush Goyal says train accidents across the country have come down to 100 per year in the past 4 years as compared to 2006 per year between 2004 and 2009, informs Lok Sabha. There is no question of privatizing railways. PPP model needed to increase capacity and efficiency of railways. Supreme Court agrees to hear plea challenging constitutional validity of Maratha quota in Maharashtra, but no stay on the Bombay High Court order upholding the state's move. Apex Court issues notice to Maharashtra government. CJI observes reservation cannot be given with retrospective effect. Water tankers take a train journey to past Chennai as the city grapples with the worst water crisis over the past few months. Special train carrying 2.5 million litres of water arrives in Chennai from Vellore district of Tamil Nadu. India and the United States to hold talks in New Delhi to resolve the recent trade issues between the two countries. Meeting being held following the discussions held between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Osaka, Japan. India and Cambodia reduced their MPI values the fastest and did not leave the poorest groups behind. United Nations Development Programme releases new report challenging traditional notions of rich and poor. Says poverty rates declined in most of the countries. And in sports, Wimbledon men's singles semi-finals today. Roger Federer clash with Rafael Nadal after nearly 11 years. Our semi-final will face Novak Djokovic and Roberto Bautista Agut. Well, the train accidents have gone down to 2006. That's the figure that the Railways Minister Piyush Goyal quoted in Parliament. Let's get started with what's happening in Karnataka now. The suspense over which the Karnataka goes remains with the Supreme Court ordering a status quo with regard to the 10 rebel MLAs. The court has said that the Speaker will not take any decision on resignations or disqualifications. This means that the decision on resignation letters of rebel MLAs and the petition filed by the Congress for disqualification of rebel MLAs will remain pending. The next hearing on the matter is on Tuesday, the 16th of July. During the hearing, the counsel for the 10 rebel MLAs, Mukul Rohatgi alleged that the speaker has committed contempt of court by telling the media that the apex court is no party to give directions to him. He said that if the speaker does not resign, he should be held in contempt. Countering his arguments, the counsel for the speaker, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, said that under Article 190, the speaker has the duty to ascertain that the resignation is voluntary and the resignation letters are genuine. Adding that the speaker needs time for this purpose, he informed the court that out of 10 MLAs, disqualification process against 2 had begun even before the resignations. The remaining 8 resignations are now being considered. That's what the court was told. And for more on this, we are joined by correspondent Vikas Sarthi. Vikas, the court has ordered status quo insofar as the resignations and disqualification petition of the Congress as well as the JDS are concerned. What were the main highlights of the arguments that were put forth on behalf of the rebel MLAs, on behalf of the Speaker, as well as on behalf of the Chief Minister of Karnataka?
Well, Gungun, so far as the lawyer for these 10 rebel MLAs is concerned, he raised the issue that despite the Supreme Court order, Speaker has not taken any decision yet. In fact, Mukul Rohatgi quoted some media reports that Speaker said that the Supreme Court has no business to ask him to do a job in a particular time. But the counsel for Speaker and for the Chief Minister said that these are wrong. These are wrong statements. Speaker only said that he will ascertain whether these resignations are genuine and these are voluntarily given to the office of the Speaker. And after only ascertaining those aspects, Speaker will take a decision. Speaker is not a post office where you can drop a letter and then demand that a certain decision must be taken in a stipulated time. Apart from it, the counsel for the Speaker said that Speaker is doing his duty. Under Article 190, Speaker is duty bound to check whether these resignations are given voluntarily or under any duress. So he will ascertain that aspect. Apart from it, he will also check whether these resignation letters are genuine or not, and he cannot be asked to act in a particular time. He will take his own time and will decide as per the directions given in under Article 190. So far as the Chief Minister's issue is concerned, Counsel for Chief Minister said that whatever the grounds are being given that these MLAs are giving resignation because of corruption charges. Even 2 of these MLAs were accused in those corruption cases. So all these grounds which are being given are bogus, and he said that Speaker has the authority to decide whether these resignations should be accepted or not, and Speaker cannot be said to act in a particular time. After hearing all the sides, the Supreme Court was of the opinion that several weighty issues are there in this case, and it will take some time for a detailed hearing. Supreme Court has given a status quo, which means that Speaker will not take any decision neither on the resignation letters and nor on the disqualification petition filed by the Congress and JDS against these 10 rebel MLAs. So this status quo will remain in force until Supreme Court gives a further order, a next order. This interim order will remain in force, and on Tuesday, Supreme Court will hear all these aspects and will hear all sides again. But so far as the previous order is concerned, the Speaker said that this kind of order cannot be dictated where Speaker is asked to act in a particular time. He has his own wisdom to decide these issues. He is a very experienced lawmaker, and he is acting as per the directions given under Article 190.
Vikas, besides that, the Supreme Court also said that this matter requires interpretation of Article 190 of the Constitution and Article 361 of the Constitution. Can we expect more in terms of constitutional interpretation of these articles going forward in this case? And what can we expect on Tuesday when the hearing takes place again in this case?
Right, Munmun, the main issue here is that to put in a simple way, the Supreme Court wants to know whether resignation letters must be decided first or the disqualification petition, even if it is filed after these resignation letters must be decided first. So whether resignation or disqualification, this is the main issue which Supreme Court will decide. Though the lawyer for the Chief Minister said that this matter should be heard by a constitution bench, but today itself the Chief Justice was of the opinion that first court will hear on Tuesday that what are the issues are concerned. The court noted that there are some weighty issues which were not raised before the Supreme Court when this matter was taken up on the previous hearing. In fact, the counsel for the speaker said that this order was passed ex parte, that means without hearing the speaker, and whatever is being alleged against the speaker, whether Supreme Court admits that, whether speaker should be given an opportunity or not, because that previous order was an ex parte order, and now speaker must be also given an opportunity to put his case before the court, that why he took that much of time in deciding these resignation letters. So the simple way the Supreme Court will decide whether disqualification proceedings must come first, or the resignation letters must be decided first. This is the simple issue which Supreme Court first will take into the consideration.
So can we expect on Tuesday more arguments to take place from all the sides, because a lot of developments will take place in the interim from now and Tuesday in Karnataka politics?
Right, Munmur, it will take some time unless something happens that some more MLAs come out against the government, or they also give resignation letters, or if floor test is conducted. If these things can happen, then certainly the matter will become infructuous. But if this position remains, if these 10 MLAs remain rebel, and the same issue drags on, then certainly it will take some time to decide by the court, because this is the main issue here, is that whether resignation letters must be taken into account earlier, or the disqualification petition filed by the Congress JDS must be entertained first. This is the main issue which Supreme Court is likely to decide on Tuesday.
Right, Vikas, thank you for those updates. Meanwhile, as Karnataka Assembly session began today, Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy sought time from the Assembly Speaker to prove majority, saying he wanted to prove majority in the House. He said there are many things happening in the state's politics as a difficult situation arose because of the decisions of some MLAs, which created a difficult situation. Kumaraswamy said he was not there to sit in power and appealed to the Speaker to allow him to move a trust motion. Writ notices have been pasted on all rebel MLAs' houses below their name plates. Yesterday, after meeting MLAs, the Speaker had said that he is under no obligation to act in haste and will take final call only when he is convinced that they are genuine and voluntary. He, however, had clarified that all resignations had been submitted in the correct format. A total of 16 MLAs have submitted their resignations till now. If the resignations get accepted, the majority of the ruling alliance will come down to 100. The alliance desperately needs a figure of 105 to save itself. And for more on this, our correspondent Aisha is joining us from Bengaluru. Aisha, the Chief Minister has now sought more time from the Speaker in order to move a trust motion. He says that he is still confident, yet he says that he would not want to grab power. Is that one strategy that the Chief Minister and the JDS and Congress in general are working upon in Karnataka? They want simply more time, and they would hope that things go in favor of the apex court and perhaps the rebel MLAs would return to their fold.
Well, Nancy, the Chief Minister has clearly said that he is willing to take the trust vote in case the Speaker gives him time. And we just spoke to the Speaker, Ramesh Kumar, and he clearly said that he has taken note of what Kumaraswamy has said on the floor of the House, and he will give him time on Monday or Tuesday. So it is very clear that now there will be a confidence motion, a trust vote that Kumaraswamy will take on Monday or Tuesday, and Speaker has clearly told him that this time will be given to him, and he has taken into account his request when he rose to speak on the obituary references in Assembly. So now it is very clear it's very clear that Kumaraswamy has finally opened up. His decision is to take the test on the floor of the House and also show his strength, and if he fails, then Kumaraswamy has left with one option, that is to resign. And as we have been talking about this, that Kumaraswamy will use this occasion, this platform, to address the people of Karnataka and tell them how his government was destabilized by his own ally, by his own coalition partner, and also perhaps he will take a dig at the his coalition partner as well. But right now we see that this decision by Kumaraswamy to take the confidence motion on Monday or Tuesday, which the Speaker is hinting, is a clear indication that Kumaraswamy is now in no mood to resign before giving a last fight on the floor of the House. So the BJP is now saying that that the speaker will have to take a call on this, and the BJP says that the numbers are in their favor. It's very clear that the BJP has 107 numbers, but the Congress today is saying that today in the assembly, in the session, 6 BJP MLAs were absent. So that gives hope to Congress, and the Congress is saying we are taking note of the 6 MLAs as to why they are absent in the assembly, and will they be interested in attending this session further, or are they interested in this development or not. So now remember, everything is now relying on about 6 to 7 numbers. So the Congress now hopes that again that they will be able to get the numbers, and they will be able to prove their strength on the floor of the House. And if that happens, if the coalition government proves the number on the floor of the House, it means Kumaraswamy will secure his government for another 6 months. So obviously he might secure his government for 6 months at least, but then the rebellion, the dissident activities within the government, he may not be able to control that. But since the matter is now in Supreme Court also, we will have to wait and see how Kumaraswamy will prove his number. Will all these 10 MLAs who are now in Mumbai come back, or will all the 16 MLAs together who have resigned will support this government if a confidence motion is moved? So very interesting twists and turns. So we will have to wait for Monday or Tuesday if if the confidence motion is moved on the floor of the House.
Asha, you are telling us that a trust motion or a confidence motion could be moved by the Chief Minister on Monday or Tuesday next week. But what gives Kumaraswamy hope here? Because the Supreme Court has ordered that there can be no decision insofar as resignations or disqualifications are concerned, which means that no resignation can be accepted and no MLA can be disqualified, which means that the strength of the assembly remains the same. And since disqualifications cannot take place, any violation of the whip under the anti-defection law may also not invite any disqualification. So do you think that it will be extremely difficult for Kumaraswamy to be able to win any trust motion in these circumstances, or you think he can still get the numbers? Asha, can you hear me?
Yes, Nancy.
Yeah, Asha, I was asking you that since the Supreme Court has ordered status quo and has said that the Speaker can neither accept the resignations nor can he disqualify any of the MLAs, do you think that there is reason for Kumaraswamy to be hopeful in these circumstances if he moves a trust motion on Monday or Tuesday? Because the strength of the assembly would then not go down, because neither the resignations would be accepted nor would the disqualifications take place, and any action under the anti-defection law for violation of whip can also not be take place, because there is a bar in a sense on any disqualification.
Absolutely. You're right, Nancy, because Congress is now seeing this status quo order that has come by the Supreme Court is almost like a relief. It has given them a breather because now the MLA's resignations are neither accepted nor rejected nor are they disqualified. So the whip has been issued to these MLAs to attend this session. So the Congress is hoping that they would follow this whip and participate in this session. But the MLA's stand is very clear. The fact that the MLAs have gone to Supreme Court demanding that their resignation be accepted, it is a clear indication to Congress and JDS that they are not willing to come back. There is no hope that they will come back to this government. There is no hope that they will give strength to this government if at all the confidence motion happens on the floor of the House on Monday or Tuesday. So it's very clear. The Congress, despite that the Congress is having desperate hopes that they will be able to get the numbers together. So it will be very surprising to see how the Congress will get all the numbers to prove the majority on the floor of the House. Right now the Congress and JDS is reduced to 100. So where are the numbers for Congress to prove their majority on the floor of the House? And if these MLAs are very clear about their decision not to get back, and when they are pushing their case in Supreme Court, when they are fighting their case in Supreme Court, so why is Congress desperately waiting that these MLAs will change their mind? So just as Devegowda had said some time back, only God can save this coalition. Similarly, those words are likely to come true, that only God can save this coalition, because at this moment these MLAs are very clear that they will not be in position to come back and support this government in case the number game begins, in case they will have to vote in the assembly. So this is very clear that this government, the crisis in this government deepens further, and even if these MLAs attend the session, they will vote against the trust vote, against the confidence motion. So therefore, either ways, it will be trouble for Kumaraswamy and it will be trouble for the coalition government in Karnataka.
Absolutely. So the political crisis is deepening with every passing day. Thank you so much, Aisha, for having joined us from Bengaluru. Well, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman replied to the debate on the Union Budget in Rajya Sabha today. She said that the aim of the budget is to propel India to become a $5 trillion economy by 2024. The Finance Minister said that the budget reflects the firm commitment of the government to boost investment in agriculture and social sector, particularly healthcare. The budget boosts investments without compromising on fiscal consolidation roadmap. She said the centre's net tax revenue stood at 16.49 lakh crore rupees in 2019-2020, up 11.13% over the previous year. Nirmala Sitharaman said every projection of revenue and expense in budget 2019-20 is realistic and adequately provided for. She also spelled out the 5 rupees to correct the non-performing assets in the banking sector. She's basically set out the roadmap ahead and has talked about how improvements were made insofar as the NPA resolution crisis in the banking sector is concerned.
The government came up with a 4 R's strategy consisting of recognition of NPA's transparency, resolution, recovering value from stressed accounts. I said 4 R's. Resolution, recovering value from stressed assets, recapitalizing public sector banks. You've come to know that even in this current budget we have given a large chunk of money for the recapitalization of banks, and reforms. So the 4 R's strategy of resolution, recovering value from stressed accounts, recapitalization and reforms of the PSBs have resulted in a great deal of easing of the NPA situation.
So those are the 5 R's that Nirmala Sitharaman mentioned in order to resolve the NPA crisis, which the government has taken to. And she said that the government is making all efforts to reform the agriculture sector. She said that this has helped farmers overcome challenges. They are now no longer just food providers, but are also food exporters.
Today, thanks to our policies, the country now produces food grains, and the food grain production is 289 million tons. Horticulture output is 385 million tons. And milk, 187 million tons. Some of these figures are really taking India to a height which is thanks to entirely due to the farmers, but it takes India to a height where we are probably in the top league of first in production of something, second in the production of something, top of the league. We have enabled, and the farmers have repeatedly faced challenges and proved themselves, and this has got to be with an appreciation to the farmers' contribution to the Indian economy.
In Lok Sabha, Railways Minister Piyush Goyal replied to the demand for grants for his ministry. He stressed on the need for increased investments to enhance capacity and efficiency via the public-private partnership model.
हमको अगर रेलवे की सुविधाओं को बढ़ाना है, रेलवे की सुविधाओं गांव-गांव, गली, देश में पूरे चारों कोने तक पहुंचाना है, स्वाभाविक रूप से बड़े रूप में निवेश लगेगा। इसलिए सरकार ने निर्णय लिया कि आगे चल के हम और ज्यादा पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप्स को एनकरेज करेंगे और ज्यादा रूप में जो हमारी क्षमता है उसको बढ़ाने के लिए, बाहर से निवेश लाने के लिए कुछ यूनिट्स को कॉर्पोरेटाइज करेंगे।
Piyush Goyal also apprised the House about the reduction in accidents over the last 5 years. Listen in.
हमारी सरकार ने संरक्षा और सुरक्षा इन दोनों को प्रमुख उद्देश्य रख के काम किया। अगर हम एक्सीडेंट्स की संख्या देखें, माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, हमारे समय घट के वो 100 से भी नीचे आ गए, 95.6 एक्सीडेंट्स हर वर्ष होते हैं और एक्सीडेंट्स में जो लोगों की जान जाती थी उसका फिगर 2009-11 में लगभग 300 तक पहुंच गया था। उसको हमने आज घटा के 50 के आसपास, ऐसा सुधार शायद रेलवे ने पहले कभी नहीं देखा होगा।
And now correspondent Kumar Alok joins us from Parliament for more. Kumar, if you begin with the Rajya Sabha proceedings first, then the Finance Minister gave a detailed response to the budget discussion. Did she give a point-by-point rebuttal to the various claims and arguments that were put forth by the opposition MPs during the course of the discussion on the budget in the House?
देखिए, आमतौर पर जब अखबारों की जो सुर्खियां बनती हैं या मीडिया में जो सुर्खियां बनती है उसमें होता है कि संसद में जो जारी व्यवधान होता है, डिस्ट्रप्शन होता है, उसके लिए सुर्खियां बनती है। लेकिन पिछले इस सत्र को इसलिए याद किया जाएगा कि इतना जोरदार तरीके से दोनों सदनों में काम हुआ है। और खासकर हम राज्यसभा की अगर बात करें तो 2-3 डिस्ट्रप्शन को छोड़कर कर्नाटक के मुद्दे पर जो कांग्रेस ने किया था उसको छोड़कर राज्यसभा में जबरदस्त काम हुआ है। और लोकसभा में तो कल रिकॉर्ड बना जब 11:58 यानी रात्रि तक काम वहां पर काम हुआ। राज्यसभा की अगर बात करें, निर्मला सीतारमण ने जब बजट पर हुई चर्चा का जवाब देते हुए लगभग 2 घंटे के अपने भाषण में उन्होंने सारी चीजों को स्पष्ट किया कि किस तरीके से जो टैक्स है राज्यों को टैक्स देने के बाद 16 लाख करोड़ रुपया सरकार के पास होंगे, जो पिछली बार से 11% अधिक है। इसके अलावा उन्होंने विनिवेश से 1.5 हजार करोड़ रुपया जुटाने का जो लक्ष्य रखा है वो भी अपने आप में एक कीर्तिमान है इस सरकार की जो इकोनॉमी, अगर हम मजबूत इकोनॉमी की बात करें। उसी तरीके से जो हम अगर हम उदारीकरण के रास्ते पर हम चल रहे हैं तो विनिवेश को बढ़ावा देना होगा और $2 ट्रिलियन का जो लक्ष्य रखा गया है उसको बिना विनिवेश और आर्थिक उदारीकरण करने के बजाय वो प्राप्त नहीं हो सकता। तो पूरी किसानों के साथ साथ मजदूरों के साथ साथ उन्होंने हर तरह की जो चीजें हर वर्ग के लिए ये बजट है, ये सदस्यों को उन्होंने बताया। खासकर जो रिटेल ट्रेडर्स हैं उनको पेंशन देने की बात कही गई है, इलेक्ट्रिक वाहन पर से इनकम टैक्स में कटौती की गई है। तो ये सारी चीजें जो हैं उन्होंने अपने 2 घंटे के भाषण में सदन को बताया। जी
Kumar, did she also draw a contrast between the state of the Indian economy in the first 16 years post-independence and the last 5 years, and does that give us an idea about the direction of the Indian economy under the NDA government?
देखिए, जब से सरकार बनी है तो एक उदारीकरण का जो रास्ता था, जो सुधार की जो गुंजाइशें थी, उस सुधार की गुंजाइश को सरकार ने न सिर्फ अपने शब्दों से उसको बयान किया बल्कि उसको हकीकत में करके दिखलाया। और यही कारण है कि आज हमारी इकोनॉमी इतनी मजबूत है। 16 लाख करोड़ रुपए आप समझ सकते हैं कि राज्यों को टैक्स का ये अपना हिस्सा देने के बाद भी अगर सरकार के पास 16 लाख करोड़ रुपया की बचत होती है जो पिछले साल से 11% अधिक है, तो कुल मिलाकर अगर कहा जाए कि इकोनॉमी को जो ढर्रे पर लाना चाहिए था, जो रास्ते पर लाना चाहिए था, इस सरकार ने बखूबी वो काम किया है।
Kumar, in the Lok Sabha we saw what Railways Minister Piyush Goyal had to say. He spoke about the fact that Railways is now looking at tapping more investment through the public-private partnership mode and how the rate of accidents have declined compared to the past. Were those some of the main highlights, you would say, of the address or the response by the Railways Minister to the discussion on demands for grants for Railways Ministry?
देखिए, रेलवे की अगर बात करें तो रेलवे में भी आज जिस तरीके से पीयूष गोयल ने जो बताया, उन्होंने किस तरीके से रेलवे सेफ्टी पर विशेष ध्यान दिया गया है और उसके लिए विशेष कोष तैयार किया गया है। साथ ही साथ पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप को और बढ़ाने की बात कही गई है। ये भी पीयूष गोयल ने स्पष्ट किया, जो कुछ लोगों ने, कुछ सांसदों ने या विपक्षी पार्टियों ने कहा था कि रेलवे को निजी हाथों में सौंपा जा रहा है, इसको उन्होंने साफ इनकार किया कि ऐसा कोई इरादा सरकार का नहीं है। हाँ, अगर कोई स्टेशन को मॉडल के रूप में विकसित करना चाहता है कोई पब्लिक सेक्टर, या कोई ट्रेन में विशेष सुविधाओं की अगर बात होती है तो वहां पर पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप के जरिए उसको किया जा सकता है। तो काफी शंकाओं को उन्होंने दूर किया जो सदस्यों ने उठाया था, विपक्षी सदस्यों ने खास करके संसद में रेलवे को लेकर के उठाया था, उन सभी शंकाओं को उन्होंने निर्मूल साबित किया आज।
Right, Kumar Alok, thank you for those updates from Parliament. Responding to a question on shortage of doctors, Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan has said that the government is taking the issue very seriously and is collaborating with doctors and health workers to address it. He also said that efforts are being made to ensure that every person in the country benefits from Ayushman Bharat Yojana.
समाज के लोगों को, स्वयंसेवी संस्थाओं को भी हम इन्वॉल्व करना चाहेंगे और देश भर के अंदर मोटिवेटेड डॉक्टर्स को भी हम अपील कर रहे हैं कि आप अपने अपने क्षेत्र के अंदर कोई 2, 4, 5 हेल्थ एंड वेलनेस सेंटर्स को अडॉप्ट करिए। आप जानते हैं कि कुछ ही महीनों के अंदर अभी 30-32 लाख से ज़्यादा लोग जो है भारत के अंदर इस आयुष्मान योजना का लाभ उठा चुके हैं। हम चाहते हैं कि देश में एक एक व्यक्ति जिसको इसकी ज़रूरत है उसको अल्टीमेटली ये लाभ मिलना चाहिए।
The Supreme Court today agreed to hear a petition against Maratha reservation in education and government jobs in Maharashtra. The court, however, did not stay the Bombay High Court judgment. A bench comprising Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi, Justices Deepak Gupta and Aniruddha Bose had last week fixed the petition for deliberations on 12th July. The plea filed by a representative of an NGO challenges the Bombay High Court order which had upheld the constitutional validity of the Maratha quota. The plea said the Socially and Educationally Backward Classes Act, which provided a 12% quota in education and 13% in jobs to the Maratha community, breached the 50% ceiling on reservation fixed by the Apex Court in its landmark judgment in the Indra Sahani case. The Maharashtra government had also filed a caveat in the top court anticipating challenge to the verdict passed by the High Court. It said no ex parte order should be passed on any plea challenging the 27th June judgment of the High Court without hearing the state. Rescue operation is underway in Mumbai to track a 3-year-old boy who fell into a storm water drain at Ambedkar Chowk in Malad East last night. The incident was captured on CCTV camera. It's more than 40 hours now, but the boy hasn't been tracked yet. Officials from the concerned departments are present at the site of the incident. Meanwhile, an atmosphere of protest and agitation is developing gradually, and an activist of the Aam Aadmi Party has been detained. The United Nations has hailed India for its tackling of poverty over the past 10 years. In a report on 2019 Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, the United Nations Development Programme noted that India has demonstrated the clearest pro-poor pattern at the subnational level. It said that the country lifted over 271 million people out of poverty between 2005-2006 and 2015-2016.
India has set a new global milestone, lifting 271 million people in the country out of poverty. A report which was released on Thursday by the United Nations Development Programme on Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, or the MPI, shed light on the number of people experiencing poverty at regional, national and subnational levels. Among the 10 selected countries with a significant reduction in MPI value, India has demonstrated the clearest pro-poor pattern at the subnational level. According to the index, poverty reduction in India has outpaced in rural areas than in urban areas. Government programs like Swachhata Abhiyan, Poshan Abhiyan and Ujjwala Yojana have improved standards in sanitation, nutrition and cooking fuel. Data analysts are of the view that the numbers are really good as far as the South Asian countries are concerned. The report has also identified 10 countries with a combined population of around 2 billion people that have done well on the poverty reduction front. They have also made good progress towards achieving SDG 1, namely ending poverty in all its forms everywhere. The 10 countries are Bangladesh, Cambodia, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ethiopia, Haiti, India, Nigeria, Pakistan, Peru and Vietnam. India and Cambodia reduced their MPI values the fastest, and they demonstrated the most inclusive growth by not leaving the poorest of the poor behind. Bureau Report, DT News.
This month marks 20 years of the victory in the Kargil War in 1999. Our reporter Nandita Dagar travelled to the Tololing Peak and spoke to the Northern Army Commander, Lieutenant General Ranbir Singh. He assured the nation that the robust deployment along the LOC will prevent any misadventure by the enemy.
The Northern Army Commander, Lieutenant General Ranbir Singh, has just received and flagged in a commemorative expedition on the Tololing Mountain of the veterans of the Kargil war from 2 Rajputana rifles. He is here with us himself and we welcome him to DD News. Thank you, sir, for talking to us. General Singh, can you tell us why Tololing was so important? Why was it imperative for us to capture it and capture it successfully?
Tololing is a very important feature. This was the deepest incursion which had been carried out by the Pakistan Army. This is just about 3 kilometers away from the national highway and about 5 kilometers from the town of Tras. It was possible for the enemy, by being located here, to carry out observation of all our movement on the national highway, which is a lifeline for the administrative movement of all our troops located in Ladakh. It was also possible for him to carry out and direct fire from here onto the national highway. It was important for us to recapture this feature so that we could have prevented and denied observation and fire onto the national highway. It was equally important for us to capture this feature so that this provides a launch pad for capture of other localities which had been occupied by him.
Can you assure the nation that we will not have another Kargil?
The Indian Army is fully prepared and equipped to take on any challenge along the line of control. We have a very well established deployment pattern. There is an effective surveillance grid and we are able to observe the movements, any kind of activity which is being done by the enemy, and our own deployment is also able to ensure that the enemy does not carry out any kind of incursion. But I would also like to take this opportunity to assure you that should the enemy try any kind of a misadventure, he shall be given a befitting reply, and it will be similar to the lesson what they learnt during the Kargil war.
Garuda 6, the joint Air Force exercise at Mont-de-Marsan Air Base in France, has been a big boost to military cooperation between the two countries. It was a very good opportunity for the young pilots to the Air Vice Chief of Indian Air Force to master Rafale. Vishal Varisto brings us the special report from France.
This is Air Marshal R.K.S. Bhadauria, the Vice Chief of the Indian Air Force, at the simulator before getting ready for the Rafale. It takes around 2 hours before actually taking on the aircraft. Along with Air Marshal Bhadauria, also seen is the French director of the exercises, Lieutenant Colonel A. Coty. And after padding up, it was in minutes before the two pilots were seen taxiing on the runway and taking off to the skies. And after the takeoff, it was an opportunity for us to interact with the flight lieutenant, which includes both the fighter pilots and the technical staff.
Whenever you are flying a different aircraft, there are different challenges that you face, but at the same time it develops you into, it shows you different things about a particular aircraft, its capabilities, and you get to learn a lot.
There are various challenges which we encounter on day-to-day basis, and to be specific, during international exercises you have to make sure that the aircraft are available all the time to meet the mission requirements.
IL-78 of the Indian Air Force has been the backbone of this exercise.
Behind me at the Mont-de-Marsan Air Base are the two IL-78. Now this aircraft has a very important role to play, not only in Garuda 6 but also ever since our fighter planes left Agra, because this plane is required for refueling in the air.
After about 2 hours of flying, the Air Vice Chief returned to the base.
It was a very complex mission and a very large force engagement where the setting was complex, the level of planning was complex, and I'm happy to see the level that both air forces have got to in terms of execution of such exercises.
There's a lot of talk about dogfights, so how good Rafale is in that?
See, the focus of this exercise was not in dogfight as to whether Rafale is better or Su-30 is better. When we do such exercises, the larger focus is on how we operate with other forces, interoperability, having our standard operating procedures sorted out when we do such exercises.
Air Marshal Bhadauria and Lieutenant Colonel Cortez celebrated the success of Garuda 6 with a flight of Rafale. With cameraman Anand Kumar, this is Vishal Baristo from Mont de Marsan base in France, DD News.
India's most powerful launcher GSLV Mark III will carry Chandrayaan-2 to its designated orbit. GSLV Mark III has been completely designed and fabricated in India and is capable of launching 4-ton class of satellites to the geosynchronous transfer orbit. More in this report.
Chandrayaan-1 was launched. The capacity of GSLV was 1 ton plus to GTO spacecraft. The GSLV Mark III is a 4-meter diameter class rocket with a payload capability of 4 ton to GTO. This is a rocket that is going to carry our Chandrayaan-2 to the orbit. The GSLV Mark III is signified with a very elegant architecture in which we use one of the biggest solid boosters called S200 as its strap-ons for the first stage. Then we use a liquid stage Vikas engine based L110 and a cryogenic upper stage, a new cryogenic upper stage with the C25 stage with a C20 20-ton thrust cryogenic engine, which is an indigenous development. It also features a payload compartment which is 5 meters in diameter, giving almost 100 meter cube payload volume. Balancing of these two motors to provide very equal thrust in a solid motor was one of the important challenges which was addressed in the design and its processing and casting and testing of these motors. So based on the strength and knowledge, this GSLV Mark III has come to shape, and after 2 successful development tests, the GSLV Mark III M1 mission is going to take the Chandrayaan-2 to orbit.
To ease the severe water crisis in Chennai, the first train carrying water from Jolarpet railway station in Vellore district started this morning. This comes after Tamil Nadu's Chief Minister E.K. Palanisamy had announced that the state government will bring in 10 million litres of water per day via rail network from Jolarpet to tackle the widespread acute water crisis across the state. Chennai has been severely hit by water crisis after all the 4 water reservoirs, Pundi, Chimbaram, Bakkam, Sholavaram and Red Hills dried up. While announcing the government's measures to tackle water crisis, Palanisamy had said that the project will go on for 6 months. He had allocated 65 crore rupees for this. And in Midday Prime, it's time for news and updates from the world of business. My colleague Anil Thomas joins us now with Business Prime. Anil, are the equity markets in consolidation mode?
Well, equity markets clearly having a cautious approach before the IIP and the CPI data that's going to come out later this week. So clearly a cautious approach there by the markets. But first up, let's take a look at NABARD that was celebrating its 38th foundation day today. MOS Finance Anurag Thakur inaugurated the seminar on engaging rural youth gainfully. Experts from various fields attended the seminar as panelists in the discussions.
Dhanyavad sir.
Now government will promote big investments in agriculture infrastructure with support from private sector. It will support entrepreneurs in creating value addition to farmers' produce, including bamboo and honey, timber from the hedges, and for generating renewable energy so that Annadata can also become Urja Data.
Well, benchmark indices are trading flat in the afternoon session. Sensex is trading 11 points lower at 38,812 levels, with Bajaj Finance, Bharti Airtel, Larsen & Toubro, Tata Motors and Axis Bank leading the list of losers. The broader Nifty 50 index was ruling at 11,579 levels, down 4 points. The Nifty sectoral indices were mostly in the green. Reality and metal stocks advanced the most in the broader market. The S&P BSE mid-cap index was hovering around 14,567 levels. Infosys, Bank, Karnataka Bank, Reliance Industrial Infrastructure will declare their Q1 FY20 results later today. Well, that's all we have in business. Back to Moon for more updates.
Thanks, Anil. We'll come back to you for the sports updates. And now let's take a look at what's making news across the globe. The police in Gibraltar, a British overseas territory on the Spanish coast, have said that it had arrested the master and chief officer believed to be Indian nationals of an Iranian oil supertanker that was seized by its officers last week. They are accused of violating EU sanctions on Syria. Last week, the British Royal Marines boarded the tanker of Gibraltar and seized documents and electronic devices on board. Gibraltar police has said the investigation is still ongoing and Grace 1, the vessel is called Grace 1, continues to be detained. In Syria, Russian-led airstrikes hit the rebel-held town of Latamina in the northern countryside of Hama. As per rights groups and rescuers, at least 544 civilians have been killed and more than 2,000 people have been injured since the Russian-backed assault on the last rebel bastion in northwestern Syria began 2 months ago. Russian jets joined the Syrian army on 26 April at the biggest offensive against parts of Idlib province and adjoining northern Hama province in the biggest escalation in the war between Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and his enemies since last summer. Sudan's ruling military council foiled an attempted military coup and arrested at least 16 officers yesterday. The development comes amid discussions on a power-sharing deal between the council and the protest movement leaders. Coup was attempted in an effort to undermine an agreement between the military and the opposition to share power for 3 years ahead of elections. The military council and a coalition of opposition and protest groups agreed provisionally last week to share power for 3 years, reviving hopes for a peaceful transition of power in a country plagued by internal conflicts and years of economic crisis. The agreement is yet to be finalized and signed. In Greece, weathermen have warned that more harsh weather could be on the way after 7 people died and dozens were injured when a freak storm ripped through beachfronts in a popular tourist region in the north of the country. Following the intense damage, authorities declared a state of emergency. Weathermen also predicted Sunday to be a difficult day for the country. Such severe weather is unusual in Greece, where summers are typically hot and dry. On Wednesday, temperatures had surpassed 40 degrees Celsius across the country. And time now for all the sports action. And for all the sports action, my colleague Anil joins us now. Anil, what's clear is that whoever wins this World Cup, that team would be a first-time winner, isn't it?
Well, exactly. It's going to be a wait and watch between the two teams, but I would clearly say that England will start as favourites. They are the hosts, and the last 2 World Cups have been won by host nations. So England clearly the favourite, but today the focus should be on that big rivalry match in tennis at the All England Tennis Club. It's billed as the clash of the titans. Rafael Nadal taking on Roger Federer, clashing in one of the biggest match of the year. But can they deliver another epic semi-final to match that 2008 Wimbledon Classic? That's worth watching out. For 38 Grand Slam titles between the two, and it could be a perfect recipe for Indian fans who feel the pinch of India losing in the semi-finals to catch these two men in action.
The stage is set for another entry in Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal's legendary rivalry after both stars won their quarter-final matches at Wimbledon on Wednesday. Federer dropped the opening set to Kei Nishikori before prevailing in 4, while Nadal sent Sam Querrey packing in straight sets. As a result, they will meet on Friday in the semi-finals. This is the 40th match between Federer and Nadal, with Nadal owning a 24-15 advantage. Federer had a clear edge of late, with Nadal's victory in the French Open semi-final snapping a 6-match winning streak for the Swiss. Granted, one of those was a walkover when Nadal withdrew from the PNB Paribas Open with a knee injury. Federer had to be considered the slim favourite on Friday. The 37-year-old should probably have built a second home near All England Club by now, given how much time he spends at Wimbledon every summer. He has reached the semi-final in 5 of the last 6 years and his 8 single titles are the most in the event's history. Getting to the semis hasn't been easy for Federer, though Jay Clark pushed him in the tiebreaker in the second set of the second round matchup, and 27-seeded Lucas Pouille pushed him hard in the 3 sets in the third round. Nadal, on the other hand, has dropped just 1 set all tournament, a stat that has to be taken in its proper context since Federer will be the first-seeded opponent. In general, making any sort of prediction in this match is a fool's errand. Federer continues to play at an extremely high level despite reaching an age when most stars have declined significantly or fallen out of sports entirely. When Nadal's history of knee injuries appeared certain to end his run near the top, he defied expectations and added 4 more Grand Slam titles to his resume. The hope for Friday's semi-finals is that the two can deliver a spectacle approaching the battle in the classic 2008 final. Nadal won a 5-setter that included 2 tiebreakers and a 5th set that required 16 games. At nearly 5 hours, it remained the longest final ever at Wimbledon. Sports Desk, DD News.
Well, Simona Halep eased into her first Wimbledon final with a straight set victory over Elina Svitolina. Romanian 7-seed Halep wrapped up a straight set 6-1, 6-3 victory over the Ukrainian 8-seed in 1 hour and 13 minutes. She will play 7-time Wimbledon champion Serena Williams in Saturday's big final. Serena Williams, meanwhile, made light work of Barbora Strykova to reach the Wimbledon final and stand 1 win away from a record equaling 24th Grand Slam title. The American was just too powerful for the Czech in the straight set 6-1, 6-2 win that set up a final against 7-seed Simona Halep. The American wrapped up victory with just 59 minutes on the clock. Well, on to weightlifting. Youth Olympics gold medalist Jeremy Lalringwa smashed 3 records in a power pack performance but failed to register a clean and jerk lift on day 3 of the Commonwealth Championship on Thursday. In a remarkable performance, the 16-year-old Jeremy, competing in the 67 kilogram category at the World Youth, Asian and Commonwealth Championship, broke the records in the snatch category with a lift of 136 kilograms. The earlier youth, world and Asian records were also in his name when he had lifted 134 kilograms at the Asian Championship in China in April. However, the weightlifter from Mizoram missed out on a clean and jerk lift and thus could register a total lift of at the gold level Olympic qualifying event, the points from which will be counted when the final rankings for the Tokyo 2020 cut are done. Other Indian lifters continued impressive show by winning 6 medals, including 4 gold, 2 silver and a bronze. Well, that's all we have in sports. Back to Munmun for more updates.
Thank you, Anil, for that. And now it's time for our next segment, Live Prime, where we bring you stories from the world of art, culture, cinema, fashion, science and innovation, stories that are bringing smiles, stories that are changing lives. Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar participated in a joint sapling plantation drive launched by Maharashtra Sadan and NDMC in the national capital today. Today is the 9th day of Jagannath Rath Yatra in Puri that marks the culmination of the festival. The Return Car Festival begins from the Gundicha temple and ends at the Sri Mandir in Puri. Lakhs of devotees from across the country and abroad have converged in Puri to witness the Bahuda Yatra. According to mythology, on this auspicious day, the 3 sibling deities, Lord Balbhadra, Lord Jagannath and Devi Subhadra, wrap up their annual 9-day sojourn to Sri Gundicha temple, their birthplace, and return to Sri Mandir riding their 3 majestic wooden chariots. And now on to our good news India dose of the day, and that is about how 2 employees in Maharashtra are using a new technique to address the issue of water scarcity in villages. While previously government's efforts were limited to increasing water storage capacity by building dams and tanks, at the end of the 20th century, a new technique called CCT, that is continuous contour trench, was introduced, accepted, popularized and practiced in Maharashtra to make villages water secure. And now 2 land revenue employees from Akola district in Maharashtra have been visiting different villages to give their unconditional support in making those villages drought-free through this new technique of rainwater harvesting. When the first rays of the sun reach the earth, Sunil Kale and Harihar Nimkande start for farms with equipments. Don't mistake them for farm labourers. They are employees in the Revenue Department of Akola district in Maharashtra. Sunil Kale has been serving in the Revenue Department for the last 13 years and has delivered several rural development works. Both Sunil and Harihar have completed their target of digging 122 CCTs or continuous contour trenches in Pani Foundation's Water Cup Foundation. Last year, Sunil and Harihar had completed their target of digging 51 CCT, and these days the duo go to different villages every morning without fail to help in the digging work. Almost 60 lakh litres of water will be collected this monsoon when the target is achieved, and this water will be useful to the people of those villages where water is scarce.
नौकरी तो सभी करते हैं, लेकिन सामाजिक जिम्मेदारी निभाना भी जरूरी है। अब हम कोशिश जितनी हो सकती है कर रहे हैं। वाटर कप एक बड़ा माध्यम है। पानी के लिए ऐसे काम को आगे बढ़ाने में सामूहिक भागीदारी से हर समस्या दूर हो सकती है।
Sunil believes that if every citizen takes responsibility and digs at least one CCT, he or she can contribute in making his own village water secure. Seeing Sunil do Shramdan, not only were villagers enthused but also Harihar, who since last year has been accompanying Sunil daily to contribute in Shramdan in different villages. Taking inspiration from Sunil Harihar, many officials are coming forward to contribute in this initiative.
दिन ब दिन यहाँ पर जल स्तर कम होता जा रहा है। हमने अपने प्रयास से यहाँ CCT की मदद से पानी की किल्लत को दूर करने की कोशिश की है और गांव वाले भी हमारे साथ है।